Now, if you think about Samson and the reason why, this was a parallel for me. Samson was a mighty man in the nation of Israel. He was what is called a Nazarite. And Nazarites lived by 3 laws or rules, you know, and these rules are enforced from when they are born all the way throughout their lives. The first rule of a Nazarite, Nazareta, you would understand this as an African, is that you need to grow your hair. So no razor will touch your head, right? That's a Nazarite. Okay, that's rule number 1. Number 2, no vine or wine will touch your lips. In other words, they avoid alcohol. And by alcohol, I mean anything and everything associated with it. The smell, for instance, the vine, the actual grapes, etc., etc., right? And then number 3, and the last major one was that they avoid dead things. They go away from dead things, anything dead. So whether it's a funeral, whether it's a dead animal that got injured, for instance, that got crushed by a car, or a deer at the headlights that got crushed, no dead things, right? So those were the 3 main rules of a Nazarite. And Samson's reward, I guess, as a Nazarite was that he was a man of strength, of valor, and he could obviously, as a warrior, kill a whole lot of enemies and Philistines in one swoop. As a matter of fact, there was one instance where he took a jaw from a dead animal, right? And he literally used that as a weapon to kill multitudes of enemies. Okay, so his strength was might, but he had weaknesses like we all do. And the Bible makes an account then when he was man enough, and he wanted a wife, he looked in the wrong places, basically. He looked in the places which, are anti-Nazarite. Here's an example. The Bible talks about the valley of Sorek. The valley of Sorek is a place that was, maybe let me put it this way. Sorek was a river, right, that runs through the villages. And in that valley, because of the river and the waters, it was famous for its vines. So they grew a lot of grapes, mostly for wine purposes. So obviously, as a Nazarite, that's a place that he needs to go away from and not towards. But that's exactly what he went towards, right? He went to the valley of Sorek, and there he slept, of course, with a couple of women, found a wife, and I think we all know how that story ended, right? In terms of his wife. Yeah. So basically, I don't know how to put this. Okay, maybe let me put it this way. In Samson's case, as it is in our case, I guess, as well, if you think about yourself as an individual, you have a certain direction and a certain place your life is heading, where you decide to actually make your life to head towards. And Samson's direction was also predetermined, and it is a Nazarite. So going towards the direction of the vineyards was going against the direction he was going to. So in other words, he would not find a Nazarite in the valley of Sorek. Maybe let me put it that way. In the valley of Sorek. There's no Nazarites there, right? Because there's wine. So in going there, he basically then compromised his destiny. You cannot join or travel with someone that's going west if you are actually intending to go east, because one of you will drag the other one, or you will all be stuck in the same place. So it's a tug war on it. Someone pulls there, another one pulls there, which means no one is going anywhere. You're all stuck in that one place, staying in the same position, where you even get to abort your dream, where you get to lose yourself. I know of a lot of people that, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, they are still where they were back then. And something must have happened, of course, for them to be in that place, So you abort your dream, you lose yourself and what you actually can achieve in your life. And people usually who are stuck in the same place, they say things like, I used to go to school with that guy or that doctor or that famous soccer player. We used to go to school together, and that's their level of joy. Which I used to go to school with that guy. You might say something like that, or I know so and so. That's someone who's in that same rut and same space, basically, who's not actually growing or breaking forth out of it. Okay, cool. So that's the wine part. The dead things the Bible talks about, in the case of Samson, that he was he killed a lion, number one, and then on his way back after killing the lion, that same carcass of the lion now had honey in it, and then he went and ate of that honey, basically. So he ate from a dead thing. That's the emphasis I'm trying to make here. And if you think about dead things, it can be figurative for you. When I think about dead things, I think about there's a song by Lucindo, who used to do what we call DKM at the time, Durban Kwaito music, and she the song, if I don't mistake, it's Yamnandinto, Yamnandinto. So it was that type of wretched song, that you could find in a wretched type place. Anyway. Sometimes you find yourself among dead things. A situation which is not helping your cause. As a matter of fact, it may be killing it. You need to break out of that. And that manifests itself in bad habits, as an example. And we all have them, from bad eating habits all the way to drug addictions and all sorts of other physiological or psychological addictions, because this is what I've come to understand about habits. Habits become addictions, addictions become strongholds, and strongholds are those kind of things which become generational legacy. So instead of actually leaving a good legacy for the kids that we give to and our children's children, what we leave if we don't actually overcome the habits and the addictions that we have, we actually leave curses, stuff that, that we should have defeated, they end up having to fight. And that's no way of leaving. There's another verse in the Bible. It says, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. So not only this generation, but the generation thereafter. We all should strive to leave abazukulu, but only abantwana bethu abazukulu bethu. And that's the best gift you can give to izukulwana. And that's, in essence, I believe that's why we are here. And that's what Let Us Speak is about, really, is to say, let's understand ourselves. What are we battling with? What are the habits that we need to cut or change or build, rather? Because to overcome a bad habit is to build a good habit. That's it. There'll always be habits, because there's always activity in terms of what we need to do. Thank you. Peace.